Welcome to Hobie on YouTube. Here's a quick video to give you a look at an interesting old Victorinox standard, or the original Model 205, that I've just recently refurbished. And it's a very interesting knife because, as you can see here, it has the old fiber scales with no shield and 4 visible pins. And those attributes would normally date this knife before 1909. But the interesting thing, I think, is that this knife is in stainless steel. Here you can see Victorinox stamped into the main blade. And according to Victorinox, they didn't start using stainless steel in their knives until 1923. So it's kind of a paradox here. This could be some kind of a transitional knife. But the other thing that makes this knife really interesting is that every single tool on the top is stamped. They're all stamped Victorinox, which is a stamp that Victorinox used from 1923 to 1930 thereabouts on their stainless steel knives. And you'll often see, but you'll sometimes find that on the main blade. You might even find it occasionally on the screwdriver, but to see it on all 4 tools on top is really, really unusual. And while I have the main blade open, you can see the Tang stamp here is not Victorinox or Victoria or Elzener or something like that. It's Schaefer Barreau. And I believe Barreau, I may not be pronouncing that correctly, I apologize, but that's a place in, I think, the canton of Bern in Switzerland. But anyway, Schaefer's probably a knife retailer, a knife shop. Victorinox used to do this where they would provide their knives to resellers, knife shops, knife dealers, and they would stamp their name, kind of like a contract knife or private label knife. So that's the Tang stamp that we have there. And let's just give you a look at this knife. I have again refurbished it. It's a little smeary right now because I've oiled it, but I did the whole 9 yards on it, and I'll do a before and after slideshow at the end so you can see the condition that this knife was in when I received it. The scales were pretty rotten. They were pretty fragile, and there's 2 ways you can go with a knife that was as far gone as this one. You know, you can tear it down completely, replace the scales and the pins, but then it wouldn't be original. And also, it's really hard to find. I don't even know where you would find this old fiber material that they used to use. So, I mean, you could do it with horn or stag or something, and that would be pretty authentic because they made the knives like that, but the knife would not be original. The other thing you can do is try to stabilize the scales, and that's what I chose to do, to leave it original. Clean them up, stabilize them. This knife was really gappy. The scales had shrunk and pulled away from the liners. They were not flexible enough to be bent or pushed back in, so I decided to fill those gaps with a bead of epoxy just to stabilize the scales so they wouldn't chip at the edges, and, you know, to keep dirt and crap out of there. When you look at the before pictures, you're going to see that, hey, it doesn't look like it's so gappy, but it was just because it was so full of filth, just really gunk over the years. And so when I cleaned that out, I mean, you can see right through the knife. So you can see here where I've epoxied the corners to keep them stable, the ends here. And then, of course, I did also make a patch to repair this crack and stabilize it, strengthen it, and to work around the pivot pins a little bit. And what I did this time around, I had been using a ceramic color match ceramic putty. It worked really well, but we're finding over time it kind of draws away, or can draw away, from the surface that you're trying to repair. So this is a 2-part epoxy, just a 2-part liquid epoxy clear, mixed with a very fine powder of redwood dust, sawdust. So let me just show you a picture of me making that up. And yeah, so the sawdust was a great color match, but when I got it mixed, it darkened quite a bit. It might lighten up over time as it dries out. but it's not much different than the color of the staining around the pins, so it doesn't really bother me that much. And of course the knife has been thoroughly cleaned. Now, if you broke this knife all the way down, that would make it a whole lot easier to clean the tools all at once and the liners inside and out. But when you don't break the knife down, you have to clean it all together as it sits. It's a little more challenging. Let's look at the screwdriver. No cap lifter, so that's a very old feature as well. And again, this one is stamped Victorinox. Again, some of that oil I've been putting on there. And here's the small blade. It's my fingerprint. Victorinox. And then we have the can opener. Victorinox. And then, of course, the back tools. You've got a grooved corkscrew, which was kind of a later feature. The Victorinox started with no groove, went to a groove, and then went to no groove. And here's the awl. Just show you those liners. Yeah. I'm going to show all this off in the slideshow, but what the hell. Got a lot of time in this knife, so I want to show it off. That's down inside now. Again, without taking the knife apart. So a great old knife. Oh, let's do this. Haven't tried this yet. I'm pretty confident that I've got a sharp knife here. Focus, please. Yeah. Let's try the small blade too. Not bad for a really, really old knife. The way it started too. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a look at that again. That's an old private labeled Victorinox 205 or Spartan or Standard from probably right around 1923. I'm guessing this is probably right when Victorinox came out with stainless because of that Victorinox stamp, plus the fact that they just put it on every tool. They're really kind of making a big deal of it. So I'm hoping you enjoy this. Please watch the before and after slideshow, and hey, have fun collecting.